Hi everyone. If we could just start taking our seats, please, we greatly appreciate it. I know we're running a little bit behind, and I apologize for that, but we didn't really expect such a large turnout, which is always great as we all gather here to recognize our veterans on this day. For those of you who don't know, my name is Francisco Toro, and I am the Veteran Service Officer for the City of Chelsea. So if we can please take a chance, be seated. Thank you. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the 2023 City of Chelsea Veterans Day ceremony, and on behalf of all the veterans who are not here at the moment, I would like to thank all of you for coming out and recognizing their service and their contribution not only to the country, but to our community, to our lives, as they are all members of our own personal chapters. And I know growing up, when I was a youth, as we see here on the side, these great Chelsea school students, I had Leo Robinson, Ron Robinson, and many other veterans who sort of set the path. Honor Guard to please come in. Honor Guard, forward, walk. Honor Guard, left, face. Thank you. But we're going to have first the pastor do a prayer, and then we'll go to the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
God bless everyone. My name is Ricardo Valle, pastor of the Church of the Light of Christ, 173 Broadway, Chelsea. I'm honored to pray with all the soldiers, all the veterans. Since 1954, this has been celebrated, so I'm glad and being honored to get this privilege. God, please let every veteran of our nation, armed force, feel truly and appropriately honored by the attention of appreciation of their fellow citizens. Let no one feel forgotten or humiliated. Let every man and woman, young or old, feel a deep and forgetting, enduring gratitude of our nation and inhabitants. Father God, you know that it can be difficult for a person who has returned from the battle of stressful military service. God, sometimes they feel lonely even when they were with friends and families, Lord. And I ask you, Lord, for you to be with them, Lord. And Lord, you know that how deep where you want to go. You know how lost the many of our veterans and buried soul. You know the memories that hand them down, Lord. The scare, maybe a night, Lord. I ask you, Lord, to bless them and protect them, Lord, and heal them, Lord, in the name of Jesus. Father, please turn your gaze to those men and women who in their military service have sacrificed time, comfort, strength, ambition, health, and prosperity for peace and safety of family and friends and others, Lord. Lord, I ask you, Lord, to reward them, Lord, to reward them and bless them, Lord. Like the Word of God says, Lord, And I say, Lord, He gives strength to the weary and increase the power of the weak. Even youth grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar and wing like an eagle. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Lord, I ask you, Lord, to bless all the veterans here, all the veterans maybe in their house, and all those soldiers, Lord, that are still serving, Lord. I ask them to bless them, Lord, in the name of Jesus. Amen. God bless you.
And now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we will have the national anthem.
Out on, reset, halt!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Now we will have the Governor's Proclamation.
Good morning, everyone. A proclamation. Whereas since the Commonwealth's earliest days, thousands of men and women have served our country in defense of freedom and liberty. And whereas on November 11, 1918, after 4 years of conflict, the armistice was signed in chorus of a campaign by the Allied nations in Germany and in World War I, the war to end all wars. And whereas since that day, every November, people from around the nation have gathered to honor our veterans, and whereas in November of 2023, the world will commemorate the 105th anniversary of the armistice that ended the fighting in World War I at 11 a.m., November 11th, 1918, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. And whereas there are approximately 300,000 veterans living in Massachusetts, and whereas today we are reminded of the great sacrifices and contributions our veterans have made to our country. And whereas we honor and salute those who have served our country throughout the generations with honor, patriotism, and courage. And whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts citizens remember the bravery of those who served their country, so that their dedication and sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. And now therefore, I, Maura T. Haley, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim November 11, 2023 to be Veterans Day.
Thank you again for that presentation and for the Chelsea Police Honor Guard. And from there, we will have a reading for the missing man table.
Good morning. The missing man table. The symbolism of the missing man table. The table is round to show our everlasting concern for our missing men. The cloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to serve. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the lives of these Americans and their loved ones and their friends who keep the faith while seeking answers. The red ribbon symbolizes our continued determination to account for our missing. A slice of lemon reminds us of their bitter fate, captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears of our missing and their families who long for answers after decades of uncertainty. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return, alive or dead. The Bible represents the strength gained through the faith to sustain us and those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glass is inverted, symbolizing their inability to share a toast. The chair is empty, the seat that remains unclaimed at the table. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In past years, I've always somehow tried to explain why some veterans don't come to the event. And each and every veteran in our community will recognize Veterans Day in his own way. And I thought it would be perfect to have the missing man table to show that they're not forgotten no matter where they are. That the city of Chelsea, the Department of Veteran Services, which is now the Executive Office of Veteran Services, and the nation will always remember, no matter where you are, you are not forgotten. We will always hold a place for you. And if I could call Leo, our City Vice President, Leo Robinson, if you could please come. Thank you.
It's good to see everybody here today to pay homage to the veterans who are not here with us today. It's my honor to be able to introduce my colleagues in city government, Judith Garcia, Congresswoman Presley, thank you for being here, Melinda Vega, Kelly Vega, Teneri, Garcia, Enios, Lopez, Todd Taylor, and Giovanni Recupero, who is another veteran, a Marine. Former colleague Stan Troisi is an honor. I will turn back to Francisco. I'm happy to see everybody here and thanks for being here.
Very grateful for everyone in this turnout. I want to say, recognize Chief Leonard Albanese. Thank you for coming. Chief Houghton, thank you for coming. Police Director Steve Staffier from 911 is also here. Tracy, of course, Tracy Milwaukee, our Senior Director, thank you so much. Our City Manager, Ned Keefe, and all of the other that support our community. I can't tell you how proud I've been, how the leadership and the administration have helped so much in allowing me to do what I need to do to help and support our veterans, and how grateful and feedback that I do get from the veterans who, although they stopped serving in the military uniforms, they continue to serve with either the fire department, the police department, 911, ambulance, and how it's a pretty comprehensive group of great leadership in supporting our veterans regardless of what they're doing and when they choose to continue to serve in our communities. Thank you very much for being here. When I saw the bio, I was like, wow, airborne. And we're talking about Sergeant Kyle Meehan, who's going to be our guest speaker. The bio's on the back of the program, and it's nice to have a fellow Army guy. So please, if you could grace us with your presentation.
Good morning. Good morning. All right. This is my first engagement in public speaking, so bear with me, all right?
You got this.
Thank you. My name is Kyle Meehan. I'm a sergeant with the Chelsea Police. Prior to being a police officer, I served in the Army in the 82nd Airborne Division. Thank you. I also left the Army with the rank of sergeant. Just take a minute. I'd like to thank Congresswoman Presley for being here, Chief Houghton, Captain McLean for giving me the chance to speak today. I'm really humbled to be here. Being just a small cog in the large machine that was the military, and knowing that there's plenty of other people just on my job who've done a lot more for the country than I have. I'd like to thank my parents, my in-laws, Nana, my wife, and my son, who's here. We're also expecting a baby next week. September 11th, 01 is a day I'm sure changed everybody in this room. I was a freshman in high school, and we heard about the attacks over the intercom. This is the first time I can truly remember wanting to join the Army and feeling a sense of patriotism. I carried this for about 10 years until I left for the Army March 23rd of 2011. Despite scoring high on the SVAB, which is like the SAT that you use to get into the military, it tests what job they want to put you in, and what you'd be best fitted for, I wanted to go in the infantry. I qualified for just about any job you could think of with my score. However, the only one I wanted to have was being an infantryman. I got to fulfill that dream, and soon I ended up on Sand Hill at Fort Benning, which at that time was still the home of the infantry. It's since changed its title. I quickly became a favorite of the drill sergeants, not because I was a bad soldier, but because I was pretty good. At 24, I was a little bit older than most of the other recruits, and for better or worse, they really enjoyed my thick Boston accent. Having one drill instructor who was a Yankees fan, and being in basic training for the better part of the summer, I got to do a lot of push-ups, whether the Red Sox won, lost, and even when they weren't playing. I made a lot of good friends. I'm still in touch with them 10 years after getting out. After basic, I headed down the street to Airborne School, which is also at Fort Benning. I completed the 3-week course, ending with 5 jumps from a high-performance aircraft in 4 days. This is quite the accomplishment for someone who hated roller coasters as a child. After airborne school, I rode the bus up from Benning to Fort Bragg. I sat next to one of my good buddies who was out in Arizona. I integrated into my new platoon, 1st platoon, it was 3rd platoon of Alpha Company of the 205th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 3rd Brigade of the 82nd Airborne Division. I was a new guy, I had no friends. I integrated into 3rd platoon for a couple days, and for some reason, could have been fate, I don't know, I got moved to 1st platoon. So after proving myself over the next few months, I would bounce back and forth from a fire team leader to a regular rifleman, depending on the seniority of the platoon and the manning. Eventually, I'd be permanently assigned to a team leader when the senior sergeant of my platoon also ended up being a Boston native. May 2012, I went on a 4-day weekend for Memorial Day, which is pretty customary in the military if you don't have any training or anything going on. So we got back Tuesday morning, and there was rumors, we're getting deployed, we're going here, we're going there, we're doing this, we're doing that. We were quickly hustled into a battalion formation led by the lieutenant colonel, and he gave his speech, and I only remember it ended with one phrase, or a couple phrases. He said, "Some of you, you're going to war. Some of you are leaving tomorrow, some of you will be leaving today, the next day. Everybody's gone in 2 weeks." So I called home. I called home and I was super excited. Excuse me. And I told my parents I'm getting deployed. They said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Afghanistan, where the war is, where else would I be going?" So now with about 1 year of experience in the military, I was a team leader. I was in charge of 4 guys and a couple $100,000 worth of weapons and equipment. We took off from Fort Bragg. We refueled in Germany, and we stopped at Manis Air Force Base in, Kyrgyzstan or something like that. I'm not even sure how it's pronounced. After that, we were on our way to our forward operating base in Sharana, which is in eastern Afghanistan. Platoon, we ended up living in tents, which were meant to be temporary housing next to a landing strip. So not the best conditions, but we made the best of it for the next couple of months. First platoon, our first mission would take us to Combat Outpost McCord. So the platoon and I jumped a helicopter over to that outpost. The combat outpost was big enough for about a company-sized element, which is about 100 guys. So now they had an additional group of guys in there. The wall of the compound abutted a very active, bazaar type market deal, which was interesting, only being there for a little while. We got another great set of living conditions. We were able to sleep on the ground in the motor pool where all their trucks were, because they had nowhere for us to stay since it was such a small outpost. That night, I remember the call for prayer went on the loudspeaker somewhere from in that market, and I immediately thought, I felt like I was in a scene from Black Hawk Down, if you guys have ever seen that movie. Very eerie. I can still hear it as I'm talking. So the next day was our first mission leaving the base. All the lower enlisted guys, like myself, we'd never been deployed. We were shadowing the unit who had been in country for a while. They were leaving. So we proceeded on foot probably about 10 miles to the JSS, which I can only describe as a large dirt bowl in the middle of the desert next to some paved road. I don't even know what it was to this day. So we had some safety and security inside the bowl, which was probably about 20, 30 feet high, and guys would take turns watching the perimeter from up top. So we left there, we walked into a village. On our first mission, our lieutenant and higher-ups were going to speak with a village elder. So we did that. We left the village, and we were walking back to the JSS. I also should mention that I was also assigned point man, which is the lead guy in the formation, and I also was in charge of making the routes. So there I was in front of everybody behind me, and gunfire opened up. I'd later find out that from the guys in the back, it was right at me. As I ran for cover, I guess the dirt kicked up all around me. But at the time, I was so heightened I didn't even know what was happening. So, the whole platoon being new, we let them have it back. Our forward observer had 2 helicopters Apaches up in seconds. So, we took fire superiority, we won that one, and we headed back to the JSS. So the rest of the deployment would go pretty much like that. Sporadic gunfire, we'd get Apaches up, we'd return fire, everybody was okay. Until the last mission. So on some missions we were tasked to link up with the Special Forces team, and we would hold the outside of the village security while they would go inside and look for military-aged males and high-value targets, what have you. So we were on a series of villages which were connected by, roads, small roads, very small dirt roads. And my platoon was on the far corner of one village, and everything was going fine, and all of a sudden, once it got dark, a lot of gunfire started from the enemy, a lot. We'd get word over the radio that one of the SF operators was killed in action. And a short time later, my platoon sergeant would tell my squad to get ready, because there was a squad from our platoon pinned down by enemy fire, and we didn't know where it was coming from. So I'd like to tell you that I had a big Hollywood moment, but the lieutenant colonel, he denied us leaving the area we were in. So the gunfire would continue all night. We'd get word that a second SF operator was now also KIA. So eventually the sun came up. We ended up neutralizing the rest of the people. Well, the rest of the enemies who were there would end up becoming neutralized. We find out later on that they hid in a tower in a mosque, which we weren't allowed to go in for religious reasons. So they hid in there all day, and once sundown came, they made their move. So I finish up the rest of the deployment. Like I said, that was the last mission. We'd head back to the U.S. and meet up with my family. I had about another 1.5 years left on my contract. I was promoted to sergeant. At the minimum time it was required in the Army. That was a pretty profound moment for me. Thank you. Thank you. I attended the Sergeant's Academy in the military before I got out. And I'd just like to say it taught me a lot about myself. It was challenging, it was rewarding. I had some great times. I had some not so great times. I wouldn't change it for the world. Thank you for being here. Happy Veterans Day, and everyone all the way.
sharing that. That's the history of our community. I can't even imagine everything that you have to go through. We're grateful that you're here. We're grateful that you're part of our community at a leadership level, and we thank you for your service. I was one of the 17-year-olds in the Army, so you would have been my boss. It's great to have that leadership when you're in there. I didn't get treated that well for my Boston accent, though. And there was a comparison of baked beans, but because of the location that we're in, we won't elaborate any further. Before we get started with the Cantari group, I just want to take a little minute to just say thank you to Superintendent Almir Beta, who has been a great supporter of the Veteran Services Department. I mean, yesterday I was at the Soldiers Home and I saw the Cantari group, and the first thing I thought to myself was, they need to start some social media. They were excellent. They represented very well. And I was very impressed, very impressed. You know, I'm a Chelsea kid, so when I see Chelsea kids doing this greatness, it kind of, it's pretty awesome. Thank you so much. I want to say hello to all the city councilors. Thank you for your support. I know I'm down in my little bunker on the first floor, but we definitely, we get the feedback, and we're very grateful, or at least the veterans are very grateful for what you guys are doing, and thank you for that. As always, Congresswoman Diana Presley, we're always welcome. We got a little bit of history. We were interns together many years ago for Joe Kennedy, and you're always, some people don't realize that there's the part, and I'm kind of working on my doctorate for psychology, and you realize that a lot of how you go into the military has to do with strong family support. The families hold a lot of the burden, and it's tough. It's tough. When you're 17, there's so much stuff being thrown at you, but you don't really realize. And then there's the military experience, and it's different for everyone. And everyone deals with it differently. But what you have before directly impacts how the military experience impacts you. And then there's the experience after. And that's what my department's about. It's about understanding the dynamics and the layers to support veterans. Might not be the greatest public speaker, might not be the greatest event guy, but my mind is constantly going on trying to figure out what they're doing, why they're doing it, and what I can do to help. I'm not there to judge. I'm not there to preach. I'm there to be supportive. And that happens when you have key players in your life. And I just want to take this one opportunity that when I was at Congressman Kennedy's office and I had some challenges, that the Congresswoman definitely shared support and words. And I'll always be grateful for that. And we need more people like that in our lives to support our veterans. I know it's easy when you see some of the behavior to turn your back and say, the bridge is burned, I'm walking away, but they need that support. And if you can give a little extra and hold on a little more, it'd be greatly appreciated. And I thank you. Now, with that being said, if I didn't recognize anyone, I apologize. I'm looking around, I think I got everybody, but... Hey, I was looking at you. And so, thank you, Senator. Sal Domenico is here. And with that,
You see the manager, you didn't mention it.
Liddell, he's here? Oh, behind the Oh, my goodness. Dude, I'm looking at people and I'm like, you know. State Rep Representative Judith Garcia. She cut her teeth on our own city council, and then now she's representing us at a different level. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And remember those years, support, thank you. So right now, if we can have the Contari group do their presentation, please.
We are now going to honor each branch of our United States military with the performance of each branch's song. If you are a veteran joining us today, when you hear your branch's song performed, we invite you to please rise and be recognized.
Army. U.S. Marines. U.S. Air Force. Here we come, soon to meet our thunder. Attaboys, give her the gun. Down we die, fighting our fate from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live and breathe, but we're done and think, hey, nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force. U.S. Coast Guard. We're always ready for a call. We place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Sent where practice is our guide, our flame, our glory too. To fight, to save, love, fight and die. Aye, Coast Guard, we are for you.
And for that presentation, some great things. I can't reiterate any more than, thank you for the support on behalf of all of our veterans. Very grateful. And I'd like to take this opportunity to see if possibly we could have Congresswoman Ayanna Preston just, say,
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I actually had not come to speak. I had come simply to be in community. I think the voices that matter most are those that we've already heard today. So I'll simply say thank you. And, as was shared here today, with conflict, with war, it is hell. And in the midst of that horror, there's still pride and patriotism, sacrifice and service, and we thank you. But I'm a firm believer that the best way to thank you in my role as a lawmaker is through policy. Because policies determine everything: who lives, who dies, who survives, who thrives. And the best way that we can honor our veterans every day when they come back with physical and invisible wounds, and then come back and are still in service as first responders and in so many other ways. And also certainly the role that they play in their families and community, we thank you, is to make sure that they have everything that they deserve. Freedom is not free. And so when you return, you should have all the services that you need, whether it's behavioral health, mental health, housing. You should not have to come back and fight a different war. And so, again, for that I thank you, and it's wonderful to be back home and to see beautiful a democracy at work on the heels of just having had our municipal elections. I would say it's a great honor to represent you all in Washington, but it is very challenging to serve in Washington right now, where I see threats to our democracy being eroded and undermined at every turn. So it is good to be home and to see a true demonstration of democracy here with all of you today. Thank you to all of my colleagues in government at every level. Thank you to our veterans, and thank you to your families who have also served right alongside you. And thank you, Francisco, for your leadership.
Those days back in Joseph were crazy. And I was telling one of the people earlier that even though I was a little older, I was watching you. And the way you just came at it, the way you broke it down, it was impressive. And you know, I was just watching your moves and stole a few style techniques. And to see that advocacy, you know, I just realized a few moments ago that back then you were advocating for your mom still with the medical issues. And I've had more opportunities since then to say sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And to see that...
Francisco, please don't make this about me.
No.
Please.
And to see that advocacy then is what contributed to this veteran in the way I advocate for veterans now. And it's all part of a process of supporting each other, community. One of the things that just is the division that I see now and the lack of cohesion. You know, how do they say it takes a tribe to raise a child? It's a village to raise a child. Thank you. And I don't see that as much as I did, you know, many years ago. We all have differences, but those differences are what make us unique. That bring, you know, different. Imagine every place you went was just ham and cheese sandwiches. You know, think of it on a much bigger spiritual level. I love all of Chelsea. I love everything that's come into Chelsea. I love the people, the changes, the streets. I miss a few restaurants, yeah. You know, things have changed a little bit. But when it comes to our veterans, we need that cohesion. We need that support. If any veteran is on channel anywhere seeing this, understand that we'll do everything we can to help you figure things out. I, in no way, shape, or form, have all the answers, but I guarantee you this, I will put every ounce of effort that it takes to find the answer. Leo?
Before I do any closing remarks, I'd like to ask the Senator, would he like to come up and address the crowd?
Put me in a bad spot between lunch and me. It's not good. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's great to see our Congresswoman here, my good friend, Anna Presley, and our amazing students here who always show up and honor us with their voices. And when all kids are off from school today, you are here with us, celebrating our veterans. So thank you for being here and doing all that you do all year long. I will be extremely brief because I wasn't planning on speaking, but my good friend always puts me on the spot, but it's okay. I just want to thank Francisco for all that he does for our veterans. Every day, you know, there are so many things that happen in our veterans' offices. They go unseen, unheard. They just get the job done. They don't get a lot of pats on the back, but they take care of people who need help the most. So I thank Francisco and the team over there, Veterans Services. You know, hearing your story, I came in the middle because I had a couple events this morning and I wanted to try to hit them all, and I'm always late for everything because I'm trying to hit everything. But it just shows you, as the Congresswoman said, when you leave the battlefield, the war is not over. The wounds are not left on the battlefield. And, you know, we can take great pride in the state being the #1 state in the entire Commonwealth for veteran services, and then the entire state in the country for veteran services. But as long as there's one homeless veteran, one veteran dealing with addiction, food insecurity, then our job is not done. We cannot pat ourselves on the back. As long as one person out there needs our help, we have to step up and continue doing that work that we do every single day. And I don't need a plus for that, it's okay. That's our job, that's our job. There's a staggering number out there that I saw a few days ago, that only 6% of our population in our country and in our state, and actually that's the same number, 6% of our population are veterans. So 6% of our residents across our country stood up and fought for all of us for our freedom, only 6%. And they are a select group of people, a special, special group of people who have done so much for so many. And I always say when I speak at these events, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, there isn't a group of people that have done so much for our country and the world than a U.S. service member. A U.S. service member keeping peace and deterring conflict. It's not just looking up to it, but deterring conflict as well. So I stand here proudly as a grandson of a World War II veteran. My grandfather, he never told us the story like most veterans that came home. They carry these wounds within them and never talked about what they saw on the battlefield. My grandfather fought in Europe, and he always said, I don't want to go back there. I've been there, done that. I've already seen it, I don't need to go back. And come to find out at his wake, we found out the story and why he was so adamant about the memories that he had and wanted to push them deep inside and not remember them. He was storming, he was in Normandy, storming the beach in Normandy, and two of his friends on both sides were shot and killed. And he was trained to keep going because he had to finish his mission. And those are the two friends that he came into the service with that he didn't go home. And he forever held that inside and never told my grandmother, never told his kids, never told his family when he came home, what he saw. But that never left him. That never left him. And that's what our veterans today and in the past and in the future deal with every single day. And as we've heard today, that's real. That never leaves you. And that's why it's our responsibility as those of us who are benefiting from all of that work that's been done and the wars that have been fought and the people that have been there in the trenches, our responsibility is to support them not just on Veterans Day, but all year long. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Senator. I'll share a quick story. Actually, last Friday, I was honored at the Sokolowski School with the Golden Trident. It was very special to me to be there because Frank Sokolowski was a friend of mine who hung around. He's a great hockey player. He's one of the 11 people from Chelsea that did not make it back home. He was one of the 11 people who did not make it back home. There's a stone out by City Hall that you can go by and pay homage to them. Unfortunately, we're one of the lucky ones and we get the opportunity to be able to walk around this great country, and we need to be able to support our veterans 100%. In closing, I'd like to thank the Sergeant for stepping up to be the speaker here today. Our superintendent, and everybody else, especially the children.